Why, hello there. You ready to learn something cool? Because it's positively arting with Aggie time. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Positively Arting with Aggie. Today, we are going to dive into the captivating world of character design and shape language because shapes aren't just forms. And I hope you're not tired about learning about this because there's some great fundamentals for you to create much bigger things. Because shapes are the language of emotions and characteristics in art and animation. So grab your drawing tools and let's get creating. So grab that paper, grab that eraser, grab that pencil, grab your digital tablet if that's what you prefer to use, because we are getting started. In the realm of character design, understanding shape language is key. It's about how different shapes convey different traits and emotions. Circle might invoke friendliness, a square might suggest strength, and a triangle might represent something dynamic. Today, we'll learn how to use these shapes to create characters that resonate with our audience. Ready for it? Why combine shapes? Just like in life, when we blend experiences to create our own personal stories, in art, we combine shapes to really teach us about balance, harmony, storytelling. When we design characters with a mix of shapes, we create a lot of depth to that character. So why don't we get started? Before we even begin designing any character, I really want you to focus on shapes of existing characters and use this as the foundation for the character that you may be building. Now, grab your pen, grab your paper, grab your eraser, grab your pencil, grab your digital tool, whatever it might be, and I want you to pick an object or animal for you to break down into simple shapes. I'm going to start with my dog. Now, the reason we're going to be doing this activity is because I want you to understand the shapes that everything's made out of before you design your own, which will help you in combining the shapes into some really, really cool characters. Now, for this, I need you guys to focus on light sketching lines. Make these lines quick, put energy into it. So for Olive, we are looking at her basic shape, what is her head. She has a very, very round head. She is looking off to the side, so I'm going to keep that in mind, and I'm going to angle her head to the side. Her nose right here is a very basic circle. Her snout is once again a circle. Her eyes, you guessed it, circles. She's starting to look a little bit like a bear, isn't she now? Her ears are rounded triangles, and they sit on both sides. So you can see how we're already creating this dog, and all we are doing is focusing on the basic shapes. Now, how do these shapes connect? So we could see her chest below her. So I am going to add a cylinder where the joint of the neck and the body sit, because her little neck is in the shape of a cylinder. So we're breaking down her body into very, very basic shapes. Her chest is a circle. So we're gonna break that down as well. And just like you have the line in the middle of the face, we're gonna set her body line to show that she is leaning forward. She isn't leaning to the side. And if you wanna intersect and just see how this works, this line goes all the way back and forms a full circle. This forms an oval that goes back here. So her tail would be sitting somewhere along this line. So now she has arms, her little paws, they all sit as joints. So you want to figure out where the joints sit. You want to place two ovals to figure out the joints. So we want to make sure, because these are little ball joints. As humans, we have like little ball joints that move around. Same with doggos. And her legs, we could use them as cylinders. Very, very basic cylinders. And we could add an oval as the joint that connects her paw to her foot, and her foot just a simple circle. So now Olive is being completely broken down into very simple shapes. We could see her thigh right here. Again, break it down into an oval. which connects to another oval for her leg that she's sitting on. Can't really see her tail, but if it was there, we could make her tail a little spiral. So now we took something super complicated and we broke it down into very, very basic shapes. So whatever object, animal you chose, try to do the same thing and imagine it very, very simplistically and where the shapes might combine. So now that you've broken it down, you could really take a look at this layer and see how it formed everything. Now, the main reason I wanted to start off with this exercise is because when you combine shapes, you don't always think about how those shapes might sit together, how they might combine, how the joints might work. So by doing an exercise where you break down a character first, it'll help you understand the foundation that you need for the character that you are about to create. All right, so now I want us to pick some shapes. I am going to start with an upside down triangle. And why not a square? My computer stops lagging. There we go. Now, how are these two shapes going to interact? So I want to play around with these shapes, and maybe I want to create a very powerful character out of it. So I want the square sitting right on top of the triangle. Maybe I'll have him facing forward, so I will draw that line in the middle as my baseline. And I like to keep features lower on the face, so the line where the eyes will sit on will always sit lower. And now I have to think about the joints. And a lot of the time when we think about arms and legs, we think about cylinders. But I have to make sure I understand where the joints of this character sit. So if I want the character facing forward, I will draw that line right down the middle to make sure I keep everything even on both sides. And where the shoulders are, I'm going to draw two cylinders because these are my joints that are going to be where the arms sit. I'm thinking everything as basic shapes right now. Now, what do I want this character to be doing? Maybe I want this character to be very tall, but once again, I am thinking joints. So I'm adding joints where I'm going to be adding the legs, and everything will be a simple cylinder. So I want this character to be tall, so I'm going to give him long cylinder arms that look very much like sausages. And the knee joint, I'll add as a cylinder. So think of everything as very basic shapes when you are designing. Don't get caught up in the details yet. Right now, you want to make sure to understand the basic form of the character that you are creating. So now I'll add a little ball joint and add little cylinders for the feet. Now, I think it would be kind of funny if this character had kind of bigger arms. So I'm going to expand this little joint right here and do quite long cylinders. It's kind of looking like a robot. So why not I design a robot character? So I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to think about where the elbow joint sits on both sides, and because I want to be able to make sure I keep everything proportionate, don't be afraid to use guides. So right now, I'm going to add myself a guide so I can put this elbow joint at the same position as the other one, and I'm going to use this guide, and I'm going to use the knees to make sure everything is sitting in place. These guides are so helpful in the sketch phase. And if you notice, everything I'm doing, I'm using very quick, broad strokes. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm putting energy into the drawing. You want to put energy into the character that you are creating. So I'll create a little ball joint. Why don't I give this character quite large arms? So I want to break it down into shapes. The palm will be a cylinder with cylinder thumbs. And let's add 3 cylinder fingers. Now we're doing very, 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 very basic, and we're thinking about shapes more than anything else. So we're using 2 combined shapes, and now we're using many combined shapes into creating the base of this character. So I haven't gone into any detail yet, and have fun creating. Combine maybe a square with a circle. What about a star? You can even create a star character. So if we have our star, why don't we have a star with maybe a longer triangle? So it looks like a little ice cream cone character. Have fun with the shapes that you are creating. So got a little distracted there. Let's get back to our buddy over here. So I want him to be maybe, you know what? Let's draw him surprisingly cute. Let's give him really big, goofy eyes. And we can't see here because the slime's going to be in the way. Why don't we give him a tiny little smile? So now he looks almost like a cute little robot. And when you're adding the details, have fun with the shapes that you add to this character and really build on what emotion do you want this character to portray. Now, by combining the square, which is a very strong shape, with a triangle, which is a little more dynamic, but because of the proportions I'm adding, this character feels very reliable. So I want to build on that. Cute and reliable little guy. So since we're going on reliability, why don't we give him more square robot features? And when we think about robots, we don't think about very organic a lot of the time. We do think about a lot of more sharper shapes. So now we created this little robot character. And since this is the base for our character, how do I want to finish him off? Good question. So now we want a fresh drawing. So what I would encourage you to do at home, if you're using marker, pen, paper, and you can't erase it, grab another paper, put it on top of the paper that you've been working on, and now only pick the lines that you want to keep to help create your character as a clean new drawing. If you're working digitally, it's super simple. Lower the opacity of the drawing that you already have, create a new layer, and then just start inking, keeping the lines that you want to keep. I'm gonna round out this triangle a bit because I want this to feel almost like a little ape-like robot. Very strong and sturdy front. Maybe we could add him a little heart right here. He's a very loving character. We're gonna outline the eyes. Add a little smile. Gonna outline just the outline of her big arms. And you know what? I am going to take the fingers and I'm gonna make them more square at the end, but using those cylinders as guides. He has big, cute arms and those long legs. And the little feet, I'm just gonna make them a little more triangular. So see how playing around with shapes conveys totally different emotions based on the character that you are trying to build. Like we have our little friend right here, our little star right here can be a very dynamic character if we feel like wrapping him up. You could add very big eyes, very exaggerated happy face, and not everything has to be a perfect shape. So this triangle, we can bend it. Now it looks almost like a little caterpillar. And we could be very dynamic with the arms. I'm using a lot of energy. And because I like to add little triangle fingers in dynamic characters. So see guys, it's all about conveying emotion and being very dynamic with your drawing. And when you are coming up with the characters, just sketch. Don't worry about the details. Worry about the details afterwards. Because you could always change your character up based on if something works or something doesn't. Remember guys, when you are all done, erase that sketch or turn off your sketch layer to have the line art for your final drawing. This exercise right here is just the beginning of understanding shape language and combining shapes in character design, because it's gonna open up your world to a whole bunch of possibilities. Whether you are just starting out or refining your skills, remember it's all about exploration and about having fun with art. Enjoy the process. Continue to look at all the shapes around you, people, animals, and continue breaking them down, because breaking them down is going to teach you something very important, which we are going to cover in a future video, and that is anatomy. So continue breaking down these figures, continue figuring out how things are connected, practice turning them into characters, practice designing your own characters. How can you use shape language to design something cool? It's all up to you. I cannot wait to see your creations. Make sure to share them in comments or on social media, you can tag me. And if you're not following my newsletter already, get to my bio, hit that link, because there's a lot of tips in my newsletter that coincide with these videos. Most of all, make sure to share, to like, and to subscribe for more, because we are going to keep exploring. We are going to keep learning, and most importantly, we're going to be having a lot of fun. So see you next time.